Hi, this is Matthew. Going to continue with the Rolling Stones albums with 1983's Undercover. That was released then. And this was a time where Mick Jagger and Keith Richards were not getting along very well. Had some very famous arguments, apparently. Keith Richards finally got it kind of getting out of the drug use thing and was becoming more involved, and Mick Jagger had basically free reign for a decade. They were kind of clashing. Do we want blues rock that Keith Richards wants? Do we want to have new wave and dance and other things involved like Mick Jagger wanted to keep it relevant, where people would listen to it who were younger? So you had a clash of styles on this one because the two couldn't, come to a consensus. But the first album not to chart like at number one for a while. I know one thing I know just because it was on the 40 Licks compilation that comes out later. So I didn't know anything else on here. There's some neat stuff going on, but definitely is very much an 80s album. Things you would have heard on a top 40 station at the time. So, yeah, definitely different styles going on. But interesting. But just unfortunately a decline is occurring, of course, in the band. But it happens with all bands. You aren't popular anymore, but you make albums anyway because your friends are still going to buy it, even if it's not on the radio all the time. Your true fans are going to keep buying stuff regardless, and all that. People are still going to review your albums, whether they're popular or not. So yeah, band being a band, but yeah, this is really kind of the last hurrah for at least some people. I'm not one of those, but I was also going to talk about a brief compilation album for the following year. And I don't know if anything in '85, but until the '86 album, Dirty Work. But we'll get there. We start with side one with Undercover of the Night, which is where I think the album title comes from. And then She Was Hot, Tell You Up, The Pain of Love. She Was Hot, I think, was a single, I believe, as well. Wanna Hold You, and then Feel On Baby. Side 2 had the following: Too Much Blood. Yeah, very much a political kind of thing. I think it might have been a single here too. Pretty Beat Up, which is a Ronnie Wood, Jagger and Richards song. Mostly wrote by Ronnie Wood, but they did include it. They almost didn't, but they did. So good on them for that. Too Tough, All the Way Down, It Must Be Hell. It's almost like talking on it, but I really thought that All the Way Down was very much like a kind of Rolling Stones from the last couple of albums sound. It says other songs. I don't know where these came from, but I think I'm Going Mad. It was the She Was Hot B-side. Okay. And that is the only other track. Surprised they didn't put out because it's like an 11-track album. They could have made a 12th track as a bonus and put that on like this, the later CD reissues. They didn't do that, I guess. Not on the streaming version either. That I listened to it on. Because they only have a couple of Stones things. They're only compilations. I don't have any albums at this point. Mick Jagger we have our personnel works. Mick Jagger lead vocals, rhythm guitar, and harmonica. Keith Richards lead and rhythm guitar, backing vocals, and lead vocals, and I Wanna Hold You, and bass. I thought he was on track. I was right. Bass guitar there on Pretty Beat Up, of course. Ronnie Wood, rhythm and lead guitar, backing vocals, and bass. Bill Wyman on bass guitar and percussion and Yamaha piano. Shelley Watts on drums. Our additional personnel. This is the last Ian Stewart album, apparently. Apparently he I don't know what happens to Ian Stewart, but Chuck Leavell on keyboards, Ian Stewart on piano when she was hot, and percussion. This is the last time we're going to hear from him, which is kind of sad. He's been everywhere. Oh, David Sanborn on saxophone, the famous kind of smooth jazz sax kind of guy. Someone named Chops on horns. I don't know who Chops are. Is it a group or a person? I don't know Chops, and I can't click on Chops. Who are Chops? Does anyone know? I like that name because, yeah, there's some jazz people having chops to play their instrument. I like that. I play trombone, so that's cute. Slide Dunbar on percussion. Mustafa Sisse, something like that on percussion. Cool. Ibrahim Akantal percussion. Yeah, there are some different instruments on here, so I'm not surprised. Got some international guys. I'm not sure where these guys came from. I forget where this was recorded. I forget what it says on the top of the article. Martin Ditch on percussion. Jim Barber on additional guitar on 2 Inch Blood. And that is it. We have technical people. Hubert Kretschmer, cover photography and illustrations. Illustrator, sorry. Peter Corson, cover art designer. Bob Clearmountain is the mixing engineer again. And nobody else. I think the guy that had done some of the producing last couple albums, I think they brought him in to help out too. I forgot his name right now. He is not listed on this, which is weird. You think he would be. But that's that album. An interesting listen, I thought. Especially like some of the synthesizers. They had some weird vocal effects on the first track that were kind of cool. Kind of the one from some of the BBC productions of that era and before that, into the 70s. Like I know on the Hitchhiker's Guide radio series, the first couple of the primary and secondary phases of that, you hear that effect a few times. Yeah, and in fact, it's used on Marvin a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, some interesting vocal effects, and there were some horns, which is great, and some very 80s synthesizers, some very 80s drums going on, guitars, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Give that a listen. There was one compilation in 1984 that's now out of print that follows this. It's not streamable. It might be on YouTube, but I just don't feel like trying to track things down over there. I don't know where they're coming from, what version it is. It's hard to see song listings sometimes if it's like a big giant video of everything. We have Rewind. Let me just make sure I get the name of that right. Rewind 1971 to 1984, it's called. And there were US and UK versions of this one from that period. So obviously everything's in stereo. There are not going to be any weird mixes or anything that I know of. Our UK one is as follows. Brown Sugar, Undercover of the Night. This is one of these ones where the songs are all over the place, chronology-wise. Start Me Up, Tumbling Dice, It's Only Rock and Roll But I Like It, She's So Cold, Miss You, Beast of Burden, Fool to Cry, Waiting on a Friend, and Angie, Respectable. And apparently Hang Fire got replaced on the CD version with She's So Cold, and they added Do Heartbreaker, and She's So Cold got, okay. Oh, okay. So Hang Fire got replaced instead of She's So Cold, and they had Emotional Rescue and Do Heartbreaker. Our version in the U.S. had Miss You, Brown Sugar, Undercover of the Night, Start Me Up, Tumbling Dice, Hang Fire, Emotional Rescue, Beast of Burden, Fool to Cry, Waiting on a Friend, Angie, and we added It's Only a Rock and Roll and Do Heartbreaker to the CD version. Oh, and the tape releases also. So if you find those, you'll have 13 tracks. Nothing got removed, like the UK one, but we just added 2, sorry. So kind of interesting little bunch of stuff, but no way to hear it. It's out of print apparently. It's not streamable. I guess that it didn't perform well in its charts and stuff. So I guess people didn't really buy it. So it's no way to really see what it's to hear it in that order. But I guess you have playlists on stuff you can make it if you get bored. I won't, but I'm sure somebody maybe has. If they're trying to have complete stuff, maybe someone's figured out a way to cobble that together from the various releases out there, making their own version, which you could totally do if you wanted. I am not, but you totally can. But yeah, that's it until 86, 30 Works, I think it's called. I don't have anything in 85 that I could find, no live albums even from previous tours or anything like that. I don't know if I assume they toured on this one. I don't know. It doesn't indicate that. Again, with not everything being in print, you can't always see what's coming up sometimes. I've not been able to see everything. Yeah. So, that's that. And this is the last time Rolling Stones Records is by itself. They're going to move next album to Columbia and be under, still Rolling Stones, but it's going to be under Columbia. Later, I know it moves to Virgin. I think now they're with Universal, so everything pre-Alan Klein stuff, ABCO, is under Universal through some kind of subsidiary label. I forget. It's some weird name on the streaming stuff that I'm looking at when I play it. But yeah, there's been a few labels they've gone through, so this was kind of that last stuff before they moved labels, so way to get kind of any kind of contractual obligations out of the way. If they needed another hits package or something, they would have it. So this was kind of that filler. Did anybody own this collection? Is it any good? Was it your first time hearing the Stones? Yeah, definitely check those out. But we'll hit 86 next when Dirty Works is available. And I don't know if much else is. I'll look in a second about, so I know what I'm looking for ahead of time. But not a lot of compilations. We're going to have a lot of time lapse now after that one. Things aren't going to be coming out as quickly or as much, just because, band falling out of favor with the public, kind of, but not really. But as far as, charts and airplay and stuff, but albums are still coming, so just not as often from this point onwards. But we will move on to that, and I will go into basically unexplored territory, except for the last two albums I own, but I've not heard anything from the next, how many albums I'm thinking of? Let me do my math real quick. Like 5 albums I know nothing really about. I know singles from the last 2. 4 and 5 I know, but the next 2 I've never heard. Yeah, I don't know anything off Dirty Works, nothing off of, I think, Steel Wheels or Voodoo Lounge. I know a little bit off of Bridges to Babylon. Like one song off of A Bigger Bang. I almost bought A Bigger Bang, I just didn't. And then the next 2 I own, which would bring us up to date. So there's like 7 more albums before everything ends, and we wait for more, if possible, new material. I'll try to cover any lives that I know about and compilations that might appear. I know like 40 Licks, there's a couple of new tracks on that one, for example, No 2. So we'll see if they have put out any new songs in the meantime in between there. So we'll move on to 86 next, and I will see you guys in another video.